Hi, I'm Nancy Ann Martin, personal trainer, health coach, and a cook. And I'm here today to show you how to do a good beef stew for our recipes for bodybuilders. For today's stew recipe, we're going to use 1.5 pounds of beef round or rump cut into cubes, or if you can find a good lean stew meat, that's fine too. 1/4 cup of whole wheat flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, about 1/2 teaspoon of ground pepper, 2 large onions cut into big chunks, about 5 carrots, those are also cut into chunks, 3 large potatoes chunked up as well, a turnip cut into chunks, 3 cloves of garlic or so, minced really fine, a teaspoon of ground oregano, either a teaspoon of ground sage or a sprig or 2 of fresh sage, and 1 large or 2 small bay leaves, 1 1/4 cups of beef broth, 3 cups of water, and an 8-ounce container of tomato sauce. One thing you're going to love about this stew is you do not have to brown the meat on top of the stove. It cooks in the oven, so no spattering and no mess to clean up. So the way we do that is we're going to start by putting 1/4 cup of flour right in the pot that you're going to cook it in the oven. And then we're going to add in a teaspoon of salt and about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper to that. Now you do not have to add the salt. I just add it because it's flavor. But if you would rather leave the salt out, that's fine. Give it a quick stir. Now we're going to take 1.5 pounds of beef round or rump that's either cut up, or we have a good butcher here and they did a nice lean stew meat for me. And I'm just going to gently toss this with the flour right in the pan. So now I've got my stew meat mixed with my flour in the bottom of the pan, and now it's time to add my vegetables. I've cut up in big chunks 2 large onions, about 5 carrots. One thing I will tell you is that it's hard to have enough carrots. Seems like we run out of carrots before anything else, so I've learned to do quite a bit. And you don't have to do just these vegetables. You can do whatever you like that will be good with cooking at a low heat for a long time. 3 large potatoes. You will notice I left the skin on. I leave the skin on all of my vegetables. Not only is it more nutritious, but also the turnips have got a purple skin, and not everybody in our family likes turnips. So what that does is that lets people be able to distinguish between the turnips and the potatoes. So I've got my vegetables in there, and now I'm going to put in my garlic. Now here's a confession. I don't chop my own garlic. I cheat and I buy the canned kind, and I keep it in the refrigerator. It's just easier for me that way. I'm going to dump in a teaspoon of oregano. Normally I do dried sage, but I was able to find some, oh sorry, this isn't sage, this is thyme. I was able to find some fresh at our commissary, so I'm just going to put a sprig right in there. And I'm going to do 2 small bay leaves. If I had a bigger bay leaf, I would just do 1, but we're going to do 2. So I'm going to give those a little stir. The truth is, as this cooks, it will mix to some degree on its own. But I don't want to have all the beef on the bottom the whole time, so I'm just going to stir it a little bit here. Alright, now I'm going to pour in 1 1/4 cups of beef broth or beef bouillon. Here's another confession. This is not canned, I didn't make it fresh. This is the beef granules, and I just put them in the hot water. So this is going to pour right over that. And I'm going to add in 3 cups of water. And lastly, I'm going to add in my 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. The tomato sauce gives the sauce a richer taste, but it also helps to tenderize that meat just a little bit while it cooks. Give it a good stir. and then we're going to go into the oven. All right, so here we are. I'll stir it up. As you can see, this is pretty full. This makes a really big pot. I'm going to say conservatively, this serves 8. It's also makes wonderful leftovers, so if you want to cook for a couple of nights in a row, make a pot of this, just heat it up the next day. I'm going to cover this. I'm going to put it in my 325-degree oven. Was very careful to make sure my racks are at the bottom so there's room for my pan. Okay, so our stew is in the oven. That's going to cook for about 3 hours. Just leave it alone, let it go. It'll be delicious. A lot of times I like to do this before we leave for church. When we come back, dinner is ready. Okay, so our stew is cooking. It's looking beautiful. Nice and hot. That's the finished product. I'm going to pull my little thyme sprigs out of there. Well, for this recipe and other recipes for bodybuilders that your family will also enjoy eating with you, please go to my Facebook page, Recipes for Bodybuilders, or you can hang out for just a second and check out the links that come after this. Thanks. You have a great day. In the meantime, I'm going to be making some whole wheat bread with flax to serve along with it. We'll be posting that next week, so be sure to tune in then.